Okay, let's dive into this. I want you to imagine something for a second. It's January 27th, 2025. The US stock market opens and chaos. One company, a titan, the very backbone of the AI revolution, NVIDIA, just starts to hemorrhage value like no one's ever seen. By the end of the day, the damage is absolutely staggering.
That's the number. In a single day, NVIDIA's market cap dropped by $600 billion. I mean, to put that into perspective, that is one of the biggest one-day losses for any company in stock market history. But believe it or not, the bleeding did not stop there.
The shockwave from NVIDIA just ripped through the entire US tech sector. By the time that closing bell rang, the total damage was, well, it was catastrophic. Over $1 trillion in value had just vanished. But the craziest part? The cause wasn't a war, it wasn't a market crash, it was something nobody saw coming.
It was all because of this, a brand new Chinese AI model called DeepSeek. It basically came out of nowhere, and its capabilities just stunned the entire world. It was outperforming its American rivals in ways that Silicon Valley literally thought was impossible. And the panic that followed, it was all about one terrifying realization.
You see, DeepSeek just completely broke all the rules. For one, it was developed for a tiny fraction of what US models cost. And get this, it was trained on just a couple thousand second-tier processors, while the American models were using hundreds of thousands of the absolute best chips. But the biggest shock of all? The team behind it, a group of young Chinese-educated graduates who nobody had ever heard of.
This just shattered the long-held belief in Silicon Valley that China couldn't really compete at the highest level without Western-trained talent. It left everyone scrambling, asking the same exact question. How did a team with so little experience, using such limited resources, crack the code? Where on earth did these minds come from? Well, the answer is the key to understanding China's entire strategy, and it starts decades ago.
You see, the origin of this super team isn't found in some high-tech lab. It actually begins with a simple, handwritten letter, a letter that would literally change the course of Chinese history.
So in October 1977, a professor named Ni Lin took a huge risk. He wrote a letter about this incredible 13-year-old kid named Ning Bo, arguing he was way too brilliant for middle school and belonged in a university right now. That letter finds its way to a top government official, who just a month later orders the country's top science university to test the boy. The university not only confirms he's a genius, but they propose something radical, a special class just for kids like him. In less than 5 months from that one letter, the program was real.
And this was the sentence that started it all. Professor Ni Lin wasn't just recommending a student. He was making this incredibly passionate case to the state, basically saying that to waste a mind like this in the regular system was a loss for the entire nation. His words were so powerful, they convinced the country's leadership to break all the rules for one kid. And in doing so, they created a whole new path for thousands more.
So, how did this one little experimental class turn into a nationwide system? Well, it became a pipeline, one designed specifically to find and cultivate genius on an almost industrial scale.
Now, to really get the impact of this, you have to see how different it is from China's normal education path. You see, most students spend years preparing for the Gaokao. It's this single, terrifyingly difficult national exam that decides their entire future. But for the kids who get picked for these genius classes, the rules are totally different. They get to focus, like laser focus, on just one subject, with one goal in mind, that lets them skip the Gaokao entirely.
And that target is the International Science Olympiads. You can think of these as the Olympic Games for brains. They're these elite contests where the world's smartest high schoolers compete in these absolutely brutal tests of math, physics, computer science, you name it. And for the students in China's gifted program, winning a medal isn't just an honor, it's a golden ticket. A top performance guarantees them a spot at China's best universities, no Gaokao needed.
And the results of this focus are just astounding. China's journey here started pretty humbly, back in 1985 with just 1 bronze medal. A year later, they had 3. But fast forward to our hypothetical 2025, and the result of this 4-decade-long project is total domination. Out of 23 contestants they send, 22 come back with gold medals. It's an incredible return on investment.
But here's the part that's really going to blow your mind: the scale. This isn't some small boutique program anymore. Today, 100,000 talented teenagers are selected for these elite science programs every single year. It's like a nationwide search for brilliance, finding these kids and putting them on a specialized track to become world-class experts.
So, what happens after these prodigies graduate? What's the real-world payoff of this massive 40-year investment in talent? Well, the results are shaping our world right now.
The alumni of these genius classes. I mean, the list reads like a who's who of Chinese tech. The founder of ByteDance, the parent company of TikTok, a graduate. The leaders of the e-commerce giant PDD and the super app Meituan, both graduates. And the founders of Cambricon, a chip company created specifically to compete with NVIDIA, yep, also products of the program.
Which brings us full circle. Remember that mysterious, brilliant young team that created the AI model that crashed the market? The team that just seemed to come out of nowhere? By now, I bet you can guess where they came from. The profile of the DeepSeek team is a perfect mirror of the system that made them. They were almost all graduates of China's top 2 universities. How'd they get there? They were products of the genius classes. Many of them were seasoned medal winners from those same international competitions we just talked about. And they were so young. Some joined the team at just 21 years old. They weren't an anomaly. They were the intended outcome of a 40-year plan.
So this brings us to the big picture. The story of DeepSeek isn't just about one AI model. It's a huge signal that the whole nature of the global tech race is fundamentally changing.
See, beyond just the elite genius classes, China has a massive advantage in sheer numbers. Every year, China graduates around 5 million students in STEM fields. That's science, technology, engineering, and math. The United States, we graduate about 500,000. That's a 10-to-1 advantage in the raw number of trained minds.
And you can see the effect of that massive talent pool right now. Today, China has over 1,000 registered generative AI models. That number is almost impossible to imagine anywhere else, because no other country has the sheer volume of engineers you need to build and maintain that many projects at once. It's not just about finding a few geniuses. It's about leveraging a nation-sized army of them.
Which leaves us with this one final, pretty provocative question. For 40 years, China has been running this national experiment, all based on a simple idea, that genius can be found early, nurtured systematically, and produced at scale. The rise of DeepSeek seems to suggest that the experiment is working. And the question for the rest of the world is no longer if it works, but how do you respond to a future where talent itself can be engineered?